I call this meeting to order at 5 p.m. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All directors are present except for President Kuyava, who's attending remotely. Are there any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes to the agenda tonight.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposing? Oh, we have to do these. Actually, we have to do these roll call.
Yes.
Ms. Williams, will you take care of that?
Yes. Director Schneider?
Yes.
Director Mills?
Here.
Vice President Phillips?
Yes.
Director Hayes?
Yes.
President Kuyava?
Yes.
Thank you.
All the motion passes. Public comment. Are there any members of the public wishing to speak?
We have Peter Barnes online. Peter, do you have any questions or comments?
Not at this time, thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak publicly at this time about anything that's not on the agenda? Okay, we will move forward. Community reports. We have a sheriff's sergeant here.
Hi, Sergeant Munzik from the Phelan Station. Sorry I wasn't here last month, a little busy, so I'll get you month of April and May. For the month of April for Phelan, there was a total of 668 calls for service. Out of those, 79 were self-generated. With that being said, there was 53 DRs polled. The top 4 calls for service was number 1 with information, which most of those are medical calls, 2 being follow-ups, 3 being wireless 911 follow-ups, and number 4, welfare checks, and that was for the month of April. For the month of May, for Phelan, there was a total of 772 calls for service. 123 were self-generated. Out of those, there was 56 reports generated. Top call for service, number 1 was information calls. Number 2 was wireless 911 follow-ups. Number 3 were welfare checks, and number 4 were follow-ups. For Piñon Hills, for the month of April, there was 283 calls for service. 28 of those were self-generated. Out of those, 27 reports were generated. The top 4 calls for service were information calls. The second one was wireless 911 follow-ups. Number 3 were area checks, and number 4 were welfare checks. For Piñon Hills, for the month of May, there was 316 calls for service. 43 of those were self-generated. Out of those, 21 reports were generated. The top 4 calls for service were number 1 was information calls, followed by wireless 911 follow-ups, area checks, and welfare checks. And out of those 2 months, nothing significant to report out of this time. Any questions for me?
Any questions? Thank you. Thank you, Sergeant. Are there any other representatives?
I don't see anybody online.
Okay. Thank you. We'll move on to consent agenda. Anybody wish to pull any items? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent.
I'll second.
All those, we have to do a roll call. Let's do it before being remote.
Yes. Director Schneider?
Yes.
Director Mills?
Yes.
Vice President Phillips?
Yes.
Director Hayes?
Yes.
And President Kuyava?
Yes.
Thank you.
And there were no items removed, so presentations and appointments. Mrs. Oaks? We have a presentation for the art awards for to do so.
All right. I am very excited that I get to do this presentation. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today as we celebrate the creativity and environmental awareness of our local students through the Phelan Piñon Hills Community Services District's Water Conservation and Recycling Art Contest. This year, students from across our community put their talents to work to help promote two critical messages: protecting our precious water resources and encouraging recycling. We were truly impressed by the imagination, thoughtfulness, and artistic skill shown by all the participants. We are now proud to recognize the winners in each grade category. So in the kindergarten through second grade category, in third place, we have Benjamin Munoz. In second place, we have Brooklyn Shoemaker. And in first place, we have Esteban Gutierrez. In our third through sixth grade category, in third place, we have Michaela, and I hope I say your name right, Chapel Schultz. Maybe not. Congratulations. Welcome. Second place, we have Madison Scarborough. Maybe not yet. And in first place, we have Natalie Gutierrez. You're welcome. In our secondary category, in third place, we have Xavier Sendejas. Yeah. And in second place, we have Hector Munoz. And in first place, we have Jasmine Barraza. So let's all give our winners one more round of applause. We're very proud of your efforts and grateful for your voice in our community. Thank you. And Mr. Fish would like to get a picture, if possible, of all the winners with the board. If you guys wouldn't mind coming right here, and then the board will come over here.
Yeah, I know. I'll try not to.
Starting right here and kind of come in this direction. When you see that, now you know for future. Right here. Right here.
No, Amy, jump right in there.
We're going to spread out and wait afterwards, okay? He's good, he said. His is good. Yours will take care of in a moment, okay? I have to picture them. And then the board, if you wouldn't mind kind of coming in. Here's, and Deborah, if you want to here.
Keep going.
How far? That looks good. And then we have you guys here. You want to see this? There we go. There we go. Back a little bit, so. There we go. A little bit more. There we go. Now we can get everybody in the picture. I know I'm picky. All right, thank you. All right, everybody ready? 1, 2, 3, smile. 1, 2, 3, smile one more time. And one last time, big smiles. There we go. Thank you. Thanks.
Good job.
Good job. We're begging for sure right now. Sort it out. We'll now take a brief break to let the families go so they don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting. We'll be back in 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And just so you know, all the artwork is going to be displayed in our calendar next year, so if you come in the office, you can get a copy.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will actually start the meeting back now because they were able to leave quickly. So, back to the meeting. Thank you. We are now on item 6A. I declare the public hearing on 2024 AB 2561 annual report is now open
Vice
at...
President Phillips, that's the wrong item. That's the wrong item.
Oh,
It should be the appropriations resolution.
that was the... I only have two scripts here.
This one's not a scripted.
Oh, this is
we
not
haven't-
scripted. Okay, sorry.
That's next.
I'll put this as B, and this one is C. Okay. Sorry about that. I got it mixed up a bit. Okay, Mr. Bartz.
Thank you. The appropriations limit was implemented by Prop 4 and 111 and produced restrictions in the amount of revenue that can be appropriated in any fiscal year. Just to keep it short, I'm sure everybody's read the agenda item already, but it has to be calculated each year and voted on. The tax revenue we receive is way less than the appropriations limit. And with that, staff recommends the board to approve resolution 2025-04, establishing an appropriations limit for fiscal year 2025 and 2026.
Are there any questions? Are there any public comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the discussion, possible approved resolution 2025-04, establishing an appropriations limit for fiscal year 25-26.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We will proceed with a roll call vote. Mrs. Williams?
Director Schneider?
Yes.
Director Mills?
Yes.
Vice President Phillips?
Yes.
Director Hayes?
Yes.
And President Kujawa?
Yes.
Thank you.
That motion passes unanimously. We will move on to item 6B. I declare that the public hearing on 24 AB 2561 annual report is now open at 5:13 p.m. May we have the staff report, please?
Yes. This item is heard in accordance with AB 2561, which mandates public agencies conduct a noticed public hearing each fiscal year prior to budget adoption to present information on the status of their job vacancies, recruitment, and retention efforts. Staff will present information to comply and provide transparency related to those considerations. The public will be given an opportunity to speak and provide comments during the comment period of this hearing. And Ms. Oakes will present the information at this time. This is something new that we've never had to do before. New law came out.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Bartz. Today, we're holding our required public hearing and presenting information on Assembly Bill 2561. This legislation impacts how local agencies like ours report and discuss staffing vacancies and recruitment efforts. Next slide. That's right. This presentation will walk through the purpose of AB 2561, the specific requirements for our district, and the opportunities and challenges associated with implementation. It'll also give a snapshot of our current staffing and recruitment efforts. So what is AB 2561? AB 2561 is a state law that went into effect on January 1st, 2025. It requires all local public agencies to report on vacancy rates and recruitment efforts in a public forum at least once per year. The goal is to improve transparency, promote accountability, and ensure that workforce planning is a priority. The bill was introduced by Assemblymember Tina McKinner and backed by public employee unions who are concerned about staffing shortages across local governments. So some key provisions of AB 2561, specifically related to our district. We must hold, as we're holding now, a public hearing before we adopt our annual budget. During the hearing, we are required to present current vacancy figures, describe recruitment and retention efforts, and identify any internal barriers that make it difficult to fill positions. The goal is to encourage meaningful dialogue at the board level about staffing challenges and solutions. It does create opportunities for increased transparency and more consistent evaluation of our workforce needs. However, it does also present some challenges, which we will talk about. Especially for smaller agencies like ours, we have to absorb the reporting requirements with existing staff and resources, so it is an additional burden in that sense. There is some potential for public criticism because it is, we're publicly discussing how we are staffing. And it is kind of one of those one-size-fits-all mandates across the state. So what it means in practice, it can help us identify bottlenecks, improve planning, and ultimately enhance service delivery. But it's not without trade-offs. There's a reporting burden. The law applies to all agencies regardless of context, and public discussion of vacancies may sometimes lead to criticism if solutions are limited. So with that, we'll go ahead and get into the current district employment statistics. We are required to report on this on a calendar year basis, and since we had all the statistics for 2024, that's what we chose to report on. So as of the end of 2024, we had 27 full-time positions. It, on average, takes approximately 24 days for us to complete the hiring process. We have a vacancy rate of 7.41%. But we have a retention rate of 92.59%, and then we have an average turnover rate of 19.23. When we look at our recruitment and retention efforts, we have made some changes this year and last. In terms of how we advertise positions, we're going towards a more targeted advertising position, and we have noticed that moving to the online daily press job forum has netted us a lot more applications for positions. We also, as part of our retention policy, I'm sure you're aware, we conduct regular salary surveys, and we support retention through a combination of merit-based salary increases, cost of living adjustments, comprehensive benefits, and ongoing education and training opportunities. So just final insights and takeaways. While challenging, AB 2561 can be used as a helpful framework for promoting transparency, identifying hiring barriers, and supporting informed workforce planning. We will continue to schedule this hearing each year before the budget is adopted, and we will treat it as an opportunity to assess workforce trends and refine our approach to recruitment and staffing. And that's about it, if there's any questions.
Do any board members have any questions or comments? Rebecca? Okay. At this time, I will open the public hearing up for public comments. Members of the public are invited to provide comments as part of the public hearing process. Is there anybody wanting to make a comment about this?
Mr. Barnes, do you have any comments?
Hearing none, I will move on. Again, is there any board members that have any more comments or questions? Thank you to everyone who has provided comments and related to the item, even though we didn't have any. The discussion of the public hearing is closed at 5:19 p.m. I will entertain a motion.
This one doesn't require a motion.
Yeah,
There's a motion?
there's no action to be
There's
taken
no
on it,
action.
just the
Okay.
presentation.
Okay. Then we'll move on to the public hearing on the budget. I declare that the public hearing on the proposed adoption of the final budget for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026 is now open at 5:20. May I have the secretary's report, please?
Yes, thank you. At this time, I would like to report the district has received 0 written protests, objections, or comments on the proposed adoption of the final budget for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026.
Thank you. May we please have the attorney's report, Mr. Miliband?
Thank you, Vice President Phillips. Good evening, everyone. The notice of public hearing was published in the Mountaineer Progress on May 22, May 29, and June 5th, all of 2025. The notice was posted in the district office and on the district website on May 22nd, 2025. Copies of the 2025-2026 budget have been made available in the district office and on the district website in accordance with applicable law. Compliance with all legal requirements for this hearing are within the manner and time specified in the government code. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miliband. May we have the staff report, please?
Yes. The board reviewed the draft budget detail at several public meetings, including the District Finance Committee meetings, workshops, and board meetings held on February 11th, April 8th, April 15th, and May 6th. The budget schedule was made available online, in the newspaper, and in the office to encourage public attendance. Staff made changes as recommendation by the board throughout the process, and various draft budgets were made available to the public for review on the district website, in agenda packages, and in the district office.
Thank you, Mr. Bartz. At this time, I will open the public hearing for public comments. Is there anyone wishing to make a comment?
I have a comment.
Okay, Mr. Barnes, feel free to speak.
I'm just reiterating my disagreement with the board's decision to move forward with Wells over doing more work with the dairy. And I realize this is cemented and there's no going back, but I continue to think that the board has made the wrong decision. I think that this decision probably is the most important decision that any of you as board members will have to make on your time on the board, and I think you got it wrong. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. May I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Ms. Williams, may you please complete the roll call vote?
Director Snyder?
Yes.
Director Mills?
Yes.
Vice President Phillips?
Yes.
Director Hayes?
Yes.
President Kuyava?
Yes.
Thank you.
The motion passes unanimously, and the public hearing is closed at 5:23 p.m. Discussion and possible adoption of resolution number 2025-05, adoption of the budget. No, that's no, we did that one, right?
No, this is for the resolution to adopt
Okay,
the
the
budget.
resolution. Okay.
That's correct.
Adoption of the budget fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026. Mr. Bartz.
Yes, thank you. David Nolan is going to take this item.
Thank you, Mr. Bartz. Staff recommendation is for the board to adopt resolution number 2025-05, the budget for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026. The budget hearing took place preceding this agenda item. Should the board desire to approve the budget, the next step is for the board to adopt the resolution. We're looking at the fiscal impact. You can see for the enterprise fund, net income is $1,946,000. The government fund is $2,115,000 for a total district income of $4,061,000. Thank you.
Does the board have any questions or comments?
Just one comment. Thank you to staff and the Finance Committee for going through the budget and making a good presentation, as well as our consultants that gives the board the information to make an informed decision. I appreciate it.
I'll echo Greg's comments. I also appreciate working with the finance team here. They do an excellent job.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 2025-05, adopting the annual budget for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026.
I will second that.
We were busy with roll call. Ms. Williams?
Yes. Director Snyder?
Yes.
Director Mills?
Yes.
Vice President Phillips?
Yes.
Director Hayes?
Yes.
And President Koyaba?
Yes.
Thank you.
And we'll move on to 6E, discussion and possible adoption of Resolution 2025-06, establishing policies for board member compensation, reimbursement, and ethics training. Mr. Barks.
Thank you. The policy concerning board compensation, reimbursement, and ethics training was reviewed on May 28th, 2025, and the board suggested some revisions. We do have the resolution 2025-06 attached to this for the board to review and consider. It includes board suggestions concerning meeting categories and budget items, in addition to general edits and cleanup from the previous document. And the following suggestions were made, the section 1.2 day of service, and also 2 was section 2.4 budget limits. The maximum amount of $5,000 per board member was established on February 1st, 2017. Prior to that, the amount was set at $3,000 per board member in 2008. The current budget does not include $5,000 per board member or $25,000, which would be the total. Instead, the amount budgeted for the district's expenses each year is based on historical data when we go through the budget process. The 24-25 budgeted amount is $16,950, and the current year-to-date expenses as of 5/31/25 are $17,285. And with that, I'd open it up to the board for any comments or questions on this resolution 2025-06.
Comments? Nobody? You?
I like this quite a bit. I think this is definitely an improvement. I did have a couple questions, though. So under 1.2.2 D, attendance at a meeting with the district general manager involving operations. Just want to know, what is classified as a meeting? What, can we define that?
The board can define what that meeting consists of. As of right now, it could be a phone call, it could be a conversation across my desk, it could be a meeting anywhere where we're in the same vicinity. But there's no definition that I'm aware of.
I'm hoping we can define that a little bit more. I feel like that is one that can tend to be abused. I strongly feel we need to have communications with the general manager. I don't dispute that, but I'm wondering if we can limit it to, one a month for just general questions, or if we can, as a board, if we have questions, make a phone call and it's not considered an expense. Asking you guys. I'm not asking you, I'm asking you guys. Or do you guys feel that this is potentially a too gray of an area? That's how I feel. I did do a little research, just a little background on Mojave Water, and board members are limited to one meeting a month with the GM, and that's only if it's needed. Don't have to have a meeting a month. And obviously, a president would probably require potentially more than one because of organizing the board itself. So that would be something that should be considered. But did anybody have any opinions on that?
I agree that item definitely needs to be looked at a little bit further. I agree with Gina that, perhaps the president would need maybe more meetings a month. I don't know if I want to put a number on it, but I do think Gina's correct in stating that we need to make sure that any extra meeting, because that's what committees are for usually, is to ask as many questions as possible before we move on to board meetings. So, we might want to tighten the language up a little bit there. I'm not sure exactly how. And then I do know in Mojave Water's packet that if you do have a meeting, that you should be more descriptive in your explanation for the stipend report.
I had other questions, but we don't want to move on yet, do we? Or do we? I don't want to leave anybody out.
Anybody else have any comments about that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I've had meetings with the general manager to discuss items that, regarding operations, and other different things, but it's stated on my expense report exactly what it is. You know, we should have the ability to meet with Dawn, and if it's more than just a basic phone call, be compensated for that. It is time out of your day doing district business. Whether it's part of the committee or not related to a committee, we should have the ability to do that. And I think as a board, we're all cognizant of time and spending the public's money. And if it comes to a point where it is getting abused, then we sit here as a board and discuss it and make changes. That's all I have.
Okay.
I think it's important too that we can meet to with the general manager when we need to and speak to him when we need to. I don't know if a phone call would qualify as a meeting, but in person, Zoom, anything like that to me would be acceptable.
Yeah, in regards to phone calls, and obviously the board's decision, sometimes the phone calls can be 30 minutes, sometimes 45 minutes, depending on the subject. It can get quite in depth. So even if it's a phone call, it can be a substantial meeting, sometimes longer than an in-person meeting.
So do we want to leave it as it is and we watch it?
I'm for that. I think
I'm good with it as it is, yeah.
Okay. All right, that was one. Secondly, I like that we've got a category B. I think that's a little bit better. My question is, and if I'm understanding this right, and you'll have to correct me if I misread it, but category B is not pre-approved and could get approved later, or if it doesn't get approved, you don't get reimbursement, or you take the reimbursement back, right? So my question is on that, when it comes to things like conferences, when we book those are difficult, at least from what I'm reading, difficult to get back. Can we review, we book conferences pretty early. We have deadlines before the fees go up. And so we should be able to see it as a board as earlier on before the expense is made. So can that happen?
Yeah, from my perspective, if somebody's going to attend a conference, we're going to know well in advance. We try to let you know a month or two in advance. When we see it come out, we'll let the board know. And I think it would be easy to agenda. I put it on the consent calendar as we've done in the past. You would have the maybe information about the conference and what the costs are in the consent calendar. And if the board looked at that even prior to the conference, they could either approve it or they could pull it and have discussion. I'm not sure if that answers.
I might have spaced out for a second there. So I understand we're putting in the consent area our expenses and what we've spent, but that would be after the fact, right?
No, a lot of times. So if there's a conference in October, which is the CSDA annual conference, we know now when that conference is going to be. If anybody wants to attend the conference, they can fill out the paperwork. They don't even have to register yet at this point, but it could be put into the board package under the consent calendar, and then the discussion could take place at that point, whether it's just an approval or it could be pulled and discussed.
Okay.
But well in advance.
I like that, just for
Right, and
budget.
I'm sorry, to piggyback on that, we're going to get ready to start a new fiscal year. And so, I know that we requested to have, the board's individual totals now in every packet. So when we are approving consent items, we're looking at that at that bar graph now to see where that person's at before we go ahead and approve those items.
I had one more question. One more question about this, and then a general question, which is kind of related but unrelated. But on our travel expenses, it still doesn't state like,
Is that 2.3.2?
Yeah, thank you. Doesn't state like it does for lodging and meals, a reasonable expense. And in that, travel was part of it. I was wondering if we could just get that in there, that it should be reasonable. Like I was saying, if I flew to Sacramento, it was one price. If I drove to Sacramento, it was several hundred more.
Yeah, the first paragraph on that might include what you're talking about, and it talks about mileage. A reimbursement rate for board member transportation shall be the actual amount incurred not to exceed the cost of round trip airfare. So if round trip airfare was $275 to fly.
I did not see that. Okay, that makes total sense. I like it. Okay.
Got it.
That's great. Last question. So this is just a general about conferences, because I'm new to this, but you have 2 CSDA conferences a year. You've got 2, whatever the other one's called, the other letters, a year.
Aqua?
Thank you.
Yeah.
How necessary is it to attend more than one conference a year? Say the CSDA, first of all.
Yeah, the CSD is an annual conference, so there's one a year, and there's
Oh,
one
there's not
Aqua
2?
conference a year.
Oh, okay.
But there are different opportunities for education that are involved in, might be the Leadership Academy.
Maybe that's what I looked
Yeah,
at.
so their CSDA has several, they probably have 20 to 30 different venues during the year where they have things on finance, insurances, governance. They have the governance academy, and then they have the annual conference, which is separate. So there's a number of them during the year, and I think that's where the request with the for the travel could be put in there. But typically, Aqua conference is once a year, AWWA is once a year. Not everybody is interested in each one of those. Some of them are more governance. Some may have more of an interest in water and with the laws that are coming up, and some are legislative. And so it's kind of a choice, but the big conferences are typically 1 per year.
Okay. I thought I saw on the calendar there were twice a year. That's why.
I could be wrong, but I believe it's once a
Okay.
year for the
And
annual.
then, just generally speaking.
Gina, you're
Yeah.
correct. The CSDA, so they have them in 2 different general locations. So like sometimes, there would be San Diego, and then sometimes there would be another one. So you are correct in seeing some of them twice.
Okay, so just generally, so I've attended the CSDA one, and I know there's a track A and track B, or
Yes.
new track, a new, and then the second track. I get all that. But as a board member, would I get something out of attending that again next year? I mean, I get the second track, because it's probably going to be different topics. That makes sense.
Right.
But if you go to the second track the following year, is there value in that? Have you guys experienced that?
Yeah, there is value in that, but I think what you need to do is look at the advertisement for the conference and see what the schedule is like.
The topic?
Yeah, the topic, and you could look
Okay.
at that and say, no, I've already got that, I don't need this, or
Okay.
there's something new that they're putting out there at this point.
All right. We just get notices saying all these things are happening, and I don't want to waste money. But if there's something that would be of value, I think that's important, but
Yes.
again.
And something that may help too, and CSD happens to be one of the ones with the most information out there. Aqua, we're not members of Aqua, but they do have the annual conference. But each of the board members and the staff members should be or can be provided with login information for CSDA. And you can go online and get all the information, look at what the conferences that are coming up, what's offered during the year. And it typically would have all of the information for each one. So if you don't have that, we can get you the login for that.
I have it.
Okay.
I have it, and that's why I saw 2 and wondered,
Okay.
how important is this? Okay. That was plenty of questions. Thank you.
So
So,
with,
Going back to the part where we're going to use the pool instead of a total amount for each board member, if it's 1/5 of the pool, Dawn, you said 17,285 was the budgeted amount right now?
I'm going to kick that over to David. I think that's a little bit different.
Okay.
That was the, for 2025.
Okay. So I think it's the 36,000 now, correct, David?
The 36,000 is for the stipends, your monthly stipends. The travel expenses, which is referring to the pool, is looking like 15,900 for this coming year.
And historically, we noticed back in 1819, it was at 23,000. So it's actually gone considerably down from historically where it was pre-COVID.
That is correct.
Okay.
Now, one of the things
So Go ahead.
one of the things that we had talked about at the prior board meeting was the increases. I can tell you that the price of the conferences, lodging, and everything else is going to be going up. And this is the year where it's going to really hit. The conferences that were held last year are typically booked a couple years in advance, and they have the prices set for that. And they were the COVID prices. So you are going to see a significant increase in the cost of pretty much everything that we do. Just like we do here at the district, you are going to see that at the conferences, including travel.
Did you get your question answered?
Yes and yes, but we did talk previously about perhaps doing a mid-year adjustment then on the budget for that, because if it's 15.9, that's the pot, correct? Divided by 5?
That's correct.
So it's only going to be $3,180 per board member for a year for expenses.
That is correct. Now the board, so this is a budget, and the board is looking at the policy. If the board
Right.
decides that that it's not working out, we can do a mid-year budget review or quarterly review. We can keep the board updated on that, or the board can make a decision to, if they go over budget, the board can consciously make the decision on that.
Okay.
Do we have anything else we want to add? I'd just like to note that we are, with 15,000, that's $8,000 less than what the max was back in 2019. And so we're actually considerably lower than what we were historically.
I have a comment.
Mr. Barnes?
Yeah, I don't really feel like this is really worth all the effort that's being put into it. We're not talking about a significant amount of money being saved, and I don't think that curtailing board activities to make you better board members is really a priority for what we should be doing. That's all. Thanks.
I will add my comments now. I'm fine with the way it is. We don't need to be playing monitoring board members. We're not each other's babysitters. Each of us are autonomous and should remain that way.
I have a comment. The conferences is a good opportunity for board members to be educated by the different agencies in which we attend. Not all of us here come from public experience, and so there's a lot of information, there's a lot of classes, there's changing in the regulation and the laws that apply to all aspects of our operations, personnel, water quality, regulatory for staff, and it's a good, useful tool. So I think we ought to think about that as we move forward and make any decisions on attending conferences and everything. It's a way for the board members to become educated outside of what staff provides. Thank you.
I'd actually like to piggyback on that. Myself, I don't have much formal education. Good chunk of my learning, I didn't even know what an RFP was before any of this, or an MOU, or any of those. All of these classes have led to my knowledge base. And the people that knew me prior to being on this board know how wet behind the ears I was and how unknowledgeable I was. And now I'm not. And most of that was gained at conferences, at Leadership Academy, or just having conversations with other people on other boards, at things like the Association of San Bernardino County Special Districts. This monitoring of each other doesn't make any sense. We are at lower than what we were in 2019. Why do we want to say, do this? This doesn't make any sense to me.
I'm fine with it the way it's written.
The new one or the old one, Chuck?
I'm fine with the old one, actually.
I disagree.
I mean, to me, we're talking about peanuts compared to the millions of dollars we spend elsewhere that we really don't look at like we should.
Are we done with discussion?
I have no further comments, thank you.
You? President Chiava,
Yeah, if you're ready to take a vote.
are you ready? Director Mills?
We'd need a motion first.
I'll entertain a motion. Hearing no motion, we'll move on to the next item.
Oh, well, I'll make a motion. I was trying to get to where, what it was and the,
Real description.
the real description. This thing went into overdrive and it went 5 pages down.
I went into the attorney area.
Yep.
I'm trying to get back to, there it is.
Where am I at?
So was that an official motion, Chuck? I mean, Greg?
Yeah, I'm sorry. All right, now, here we go. Gina, thank you for helping me out. I'd like to make a motion for resolution number 2253-064, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Phelan Piñon Community Service District, establishing policies for board member compensation, reimbursement, and ethics training. I can't talk this afternoon. I'm almost done.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
I will take the roll call.
Do we have a clarifying question? Is that as
So-
the read or as it is?
Yeah, that was my
Can you
question.
clarify this?
You said six,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what she said.
6-4.
Is it with the read
It's
or
section-
as it is?
With the corrections or without the corrections?
If we're approving 2025-06, then it's
Yes.
with the change.
That's the changes.
Do you want the changes?
Yeah, I put it out as with the changes.
Okay.
I seconded with changes.
Now we're clear. The question's clear.
Okay. I will proceed with the roll call. Director Snyder,
Yes.
Director Mills,
Yes.
Vice President Phillips,
No.
Director Hayes,
No.
and President Kuyava.
Yes.
That was a vote of 3-2.
Motion passes. Moving on to item 6F, employee appointment of general counsel. Mr. Bartz.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. At the direction of the board, the general manager initiated a request for proposals to process or to solicit qualified legal firms to serve as general counsel for the district. The RFP was sent out on April 29th, 2025 to the following 4 firms: Best, Best and Krieger, had a couple of attorneys that we sent it to there: Richards, Watson, and Grishon, Finmore Law, and Miliband Water Law. The responses were due back by May 23rd, 25, and out of the 4 firms contacted, only Miliband Water Law submitted a completed proposal by the deadline. Some of the other attorneys had conflicts with current clients that they couldn't do anything with that, and some of them just did not submit a proposal. They had contacted us and said, yes, we're interested, but we did not receive any proposals. The only one left standing was Milliband water law, and there's a copy of the RFP included in here. I don't know if you want to read the whole thing or not. You probably have had a chance. It's pretty thorough. We plagiarized it from other agencies, something similar. And the staff recommendation is that the board review the attorney ad hoc committee's recommendation to appoint Milliband Water Law's district general counsel and provide direction as appropriate.
Do we have any questions or comments from the board? No? Do we have any comments from the public? Hearing none, is there a motion?
I motion to approve Mr. Wes Milliband as our general counsel.
I'll second that.
Okay, we'll move forward with a roll call. Ms. Williams?
Director Schneider?
Yes.
Director Mills?
Yes.
Vice President Phillips?
Yes.
Director Hayes?
Yes.
And President Kuyava?
Yes.
Thank you.
And we have to have Mr. Milliband in person as far as being on the screen and not just a senior picture.
Well,
he looks like he's on vacation.
Definitely not vacation, but I feel like it because of that vote. So thank you all. It's a real privilege and honor to be here with you and for you. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
Well, welcome. It's nice to have you on board.
Thank you.
Yes, it has been an absolute pleasure to work with you, and I look forward to continuing that.
Likewise. Thanks so much. And to your staff. It's all been really terrific. Thank you.
Yeah, and from staff's perspective, he has been available and responsive to the questions that we've had. A lot of things that we run into are on tight timeframes, whether they be board agenda items or reviewing contracts. And so far, it's been very successful. We're very happy to work with Mr. Milliband.
Well, thank you all. And I'll plan to pop in there in person at some point, but appreciate the arrangement we have now.
Well, thank you for joining us. You really have made things easy. Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
on to 6G, discussion of possible action regarding vehicle purchase for general manager's use.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. At the request of the board's ad hoc committee, this item was placed on the agenda for discussion. At the last meeting, the board had discussions about different options for providing the general manager a vehicle. And going back to 2008, there was a $650 monthly vehicle stipend plus fuel reimbursement. Since that time, I've continued to use a personal vehicle for different use, and we've had kind of three different options that we presented here. The first one is the district-owned vehicle purchase. The second one is continued of the current arrangement, and the third is a vehicle stipend, monthly vehicle stipend. So what I did, it wasn't too hard to break down the numbers. We pulled numbers from the current year, from July 1st of July 2024 up through the end of April. And it had the average miles per month, average dollars and gallons per month. And also with the district purchasing a vehicle, what we did is we took what was budgeted for a vehicle for solid waste for this year, which was $65,000, broke it down over 10 years along with the maintenance. So the maintenance number that we have for that was based on a Toyota Tacoma that has been used here at the district, not an off-road vehicle or, one of the ones that's on the dirt road, but typically one that's driven on the road. So the maintenance costs are significantly less than a work vehicle that's working out on the desert a lot. The fuel was the breakdown, the average during that time. So with the district purchase of a vehicle, the estimated cost would be about $1,080 per month. I did not include insurance with that, but the insurance that we have through SDRMA, I don't believe is astronomical with that. The current right now per month, looking at fuel and mileage, is about $953, and the proposed stipend per month is $800. Well, I can let the committee who talked about the stipend versus the mileage like we're doing And I can just say that it's a lot easier to track that way and to calculate at the end of the month. And I'll turn it over to the committee with that.
So Chuck and I had an opportunity to meet with Dawn as the ad hoc committee and discuss this in detail. And these were some of the proposals that were put before us and that we reviewed and agreed with. So I agreed with the $800 a month on the stipend versus the other two options that are more.
And I also believe the $800 a month stipend is much cleaner. It's much easier in going through every monthly disbursement report to see what the expenses were for fuel, checking the mileage to see what the reimbursement was with the calculation for mileage less the cost of fuel. I don't even know how you track that every month. That has to be a nightmare for you, Don. So I'm good with the $800 stipend.
I agree with their comments. Yeah. It's clean, it's easy.
So if the board were inclined to do that, it would have to come back with the general manager's contract. There's a section of the contract which spells out the details of that, and that could be brought back to the board at I don't know if it'll be the next meeting, maybe the meeting after that, maybe in August or July.
Are we able to actually make any changes to the contract with the things that are happening? That would be a legal question.
Are we able to with all the legal things going on, Mr. Miliband?
I'm sorry, Vice President Phillips, it had broken up a little bit as the question was coming out. Can you repeat that, please?
Are we able to make changes on the general manager's contract at this time?
No, you can express what you would like done, but then we would need to bring back an addendum or something like an addendum so that it's on a document officially there for public consumption and any further board discussion. But you can identify the points you'd like to do, and that would give clear direction to the rest of us to have that properly before you for official approval.
Is that what you were looking for? Yeah. Okay.
Just wanted to make sure we were doing it right.
Yeah.
Okay, then
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, we will agendize that for a future board meeting.
Okay. Okay, moving on to 6H, district updates. Mr. Frank?
Mr. Cardenas is going to take this item.
Can you handle this item?
Thank you, Mr. Bartz. An update on the Civic Center project. We are scheduling a kickoff meeting with all of our consultants along with the CPM. They are beginning the review on the constructability on all the approved plans, as well as reviewing the costs of the construction costs. That was already prepared by LRB, a consultant, a few years ago, and updated a couple of years ago. Also reviewing is the front-end documents for the RFP. All this take place in the next 2 months. And then we'll have a 2-month bidding process, and then a 2-month review, and then 18 months. This is the recommendation and then negotiations, and then we'll have at 18 months for construction. So it's a 24-month period for this project, and they're all broken out in those 2, 2, and 2, and 18 months. That adds up to 24 months, right? Any questions on the Civic Center? I can move on to the Phelan Park Enhancement Project. We do have signed contracts in hand. We do have a pre-construction meeting scheduled for next week, Tuesday, with the contractor, the architect, and the engineer, and kind of determine when we'll schedule a groundbreaking for that project. The Phelan Park expansion. The Board of Supervisors meeting is on the 24th, and on that agenda is to approve the notice of determination for the project. Once we have that in hand, then we can move forward with the revised Joshua Tree conservation plan. with our consultant, and then we can begin working with the Fish and Wildlife assigned to our project. That'll take probably a couple months to determine what Joshua trees will be impacted in the design. Then we'll work with our the environmental scientists on the mitigating banking with Puzzle Canyon for the Joshua trees. So it's not really it's going to be an exchange mitigation. There's still some cost to it, but not the costs if we were working with the state on the exchange. We're going to protect as many Joshua trees as we can. We did include in the planning of this park expansion is a demonstration garden, and that's going to help us mitigate the disturbance of those Joshua trees. The Fish and Wildlife will bring the revised plan, the Western Joshua Tree Conservation Plan, at their June 30th meeting for adoption. There's been some changes to the plan on the old plan, and there are just a few. It was just released at the end of May. It's a read, but what I did take out of it, and there are a few highlighted points here, that there's a streamlined permitting process that they identified. It was not quite clear on what this was going to look like. It's like really cleared out now with the new plan. Relocation percentage of the different methods. Methods meaning whether you're going to remove, relocate, or just remove, mitigate. There's several options you can go about. Update templates and calculators in planning. Specified thresholds when relocating is required. And exceptions for certain single-family resident projects. The fees didn't really change, but they do go up yearly, calendar year. So January 1st, the fees will increase based on percentage, which I think it's called CPI. But those fees, the question is asked, where do those fees go? They go to land acquisition, conservation easements, monitor costs, restoration costs, transaction costs, and costs for land management or easement stewardship. Those were the fees are going to go to. There was one thing that also came out of this. There's also a free permit. And usually you hear free, is it really free? At Mojave Water Agency, they kind of went over the Joshua Tree presentation as Vice President Phillips was at. And this is to remove any Joshua trees that would impact endangering life, meaning close to a playground or close to a patio or whatever that may be. And also within 30 feet of property damage, for example, fence, or a house. Like if there's any threat of damage, then you can submit a permit. It'll take 1 day. They swear it takes 1 day. It's free. Take a picture, get it over to the Department of Fish and Wildlife, and they'll issue a permit for removal. Now, what you do with the tree, it's up to you. That's the challenge, right? So that is one other thing that was taken out of this. So with that being said, I have nothing more to report on the Phelan Park expansion, but if there's any questions,
I have a question. Sure. On the board item, is it for the notice of determination, is it going on consent or is it going to be a discussion item?
It's consent. Yeah. There's quite, there's quite a bit on their agenda from what we've seen. It took us a few months to get on the agenda. And yeah, so you know what this looks like. So it's on consent.
The Joshua Tree presentation was quite interesting of what direction they're going with it. And I don't quite understand why the fees are different north of Highway 18 completely.
Yeah, it's the, so Highway 18 and Highway 58, they set their boundaries on that cost, right? So we were on the north side of the 18. Costs are minimal, but not as minimal, but there's just more dense city on the south side.
So that was the deciding factor?
Yeah, I think so, in my opinion. But yes, the presentation, this is the second presentation that Mojave had hosted regarding the Joshua trees. back towards Joshua Tree and 29 Palms, they're dealing it more with construction and installation and infrastructure and stuff like that. So it's been a hot item out there. And more on the west side of us with Palmdale and Lancaster. We met with Assemblyman Juan Carrillo. And I think Jen kind of brought it to my attention and that he's going to be at the city of Hesperia for a town hall, I believe, not necessarily on Joshua Trees, but at the city hall council, city council, or where's that at?
Yeah, it is focused on the Joshua Trees. It's going to be in council chambers on June 20th.
There we go.
At 10:30.
Yeah. And if you wish to attend, yeah, kind of get into the website to reserve your spot, and so there's limited seating there. But he's been very passionate about coming up with a solution because it's impacting development in Lancaster, Palmdale area.
When we had our meeting with him, he mentioned some possible ideas that they're working on that sounded really interesting. They sound like possible options for us even.
Yes, yeah. So there was that discussion. He's going to be working with the district on some ideas. So we're looking forward to those meetings.
The presentation for Mojave Water Agencies, the PDF for it's available in their on their agenda stuff. So you'll be able to find it there if you wanted to. Any questions or comments?
Thank you.
Moving on to item 7, committee reports. Engineering Committee. Who's the chair for engineering?
I have nothing to report. We'll be meeting here soon.
Finance.
I believe we were supposed to have a meeting July 15th. That was canceled due to conflicts, and we're working on a rescheduling of that meeting.
Legislative, we met yesterday and went over what Suzette, how do you pronounce, I forget how to pronounce your last name.
Valadares.
Valadares, and what she's been doing in the state capitol. She's been up to quite a bit. Very pleased. Parks and Recreation.
Parks and Rec, we don't have anything new from the last meeting, and sorry I didn't unmute fast enough, Greg, but we will be skipping June's Engineering Committee meeting. George was aware.
And Waste and Recycling.
We're scheduled to meet June 17th.
And Staff and General Managers Report.
I have nothing to report tonight.
Director's Reports. Director Snyder.
Other than we met with the ad hoc committee to discuss the attorney and personnel, and also Don's vehicle stipend reimbursement agreement. That's all I had to report. Thank you.
Director Mills.
I have nothing to report.
Director Hayes.
I just want to thank staff for getting the notice out in the water mailings that the rates were supposed to go up 16%, but we have lowered that to 6 or 7% because of some operational changes that we made, some CIP work that was moved around. So I just want to thank staff for that and letting everybody know that. Nobody likes to see an increase, but it's much smaller than it was.
And I'll do my comment right now. I attended zoomed in for the TAC meeting, and they went over the Joshua Trees and also what Atlanto has planned for their future and what Barstow has planned for their future. It was a very interesting discussion that they had. And that's all I have to report, and we'll go on to President's Report.
Nothing to report.
And correspondence.
Yes, we have some of our billing flyers, and we have our summer activities with the kids' painting classes and archery lessons, our movie nights, which start this Friday, and we have some summer conservation tips, and then our free tire day that is happening also this Saturday, And then our notice of water rate change that went out to the customers to notify them of the upcoming change effective July 1st. And then we did have a public written comment that was included as well.
And I lost my spot in the agenda. I think we're now adjourned. Thank you. Oh, action items?
Okay.
Action items. Prior?
Yes. We did have 3 prior ones that had either been completed or in process.
And current action items? Do we have any? Setting the next agenda for June 25th. Anyone want to add anything to that agenda? And with that, we are adjourned at 6:12.